Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us this evening for our webinar to learn about our Educational Administration EdD program. My name is Renad Arif, and I'm the Assistant Director for Admission Recruitment. So we've probably gotten emails from me. We've connected before for advisement. But connecting our session today, we have some faculty here and Dr. Ian Menon, who will be presenting our session. We have a couple of you here today, so if you have any questions along the way, feel free to type in the chat, but we will have a dedicated Q&A at the end. We have some other faculty here joined us as well, so I'll pass it along to Dr. Ian Menon.
All right, so Christy, Michael, and Clement, it's so nice to see you all. If this ends up being whoever comes tonight, then you get a lot of our attention. And I want to start off by saying thanks to Renad, but of course, the other faculty that are on this call. So Gwen, Simone, and Corey, we're all part of the EdAdmin faculty. And so we're here to talk to you all this evening and just give a quick presentation of what you might expect if you were to apply for our EdD program. So just really quick, we're going to do some introductions. We're going to go over the EdD. We're going to sort of review some testimonials from some recent EdD grads, and then we'll just do a Q&A. So we have most of our faculty with us this evening. I'll let everybody introduce themselves. But we have Gwen, Simone, Corey, and myself here this evening, and I'm going to stop the share. And if people could maybe just go in that order and just say who they are and a little bit about themselves, that'd be great. Gwen, do you want to go first? Dr. Baxley?
Yeah, so welcome everyone. We're so excited to be in community today and share a little bit about our program. So I'm Dr. Gwen Baxley. In our leadership program, a lot of my work focuses on equity, specifically thinking about how we are engaging in community-related work when it comes to the experiences of Black youth, families, and communities, as well as how we disrupting and understanding how anti-Blackness shows up within our school spaces. I'm excited to be in conversation with you all today. Our EdD is really special in that all of our folks are usually district leaders trying to make change in their local context with their research. And so I'm excited to be in conversation with you all and potentially have you as a student as you're thinking about that in relation to your work in your school or district. And I'll pass it to Simone, Dr. Freed.
Thank you, Dr. Baxley. Hi, everyone. I'm Simone Freed. I am my research focuses on district policy implementation, so I kind of come at it from that perspective. But a lot of the teaching that I do in this program is related to research methods. So I'm a qualitative methodologist, and I teach many of the courses that help you prepare to design a dissertation and practice. Although I'm new to UB, I'm not new to working with folks like yourselves, practitioners. I worked at a similar program at Harvard University where I came from. I spent 7 years there working in the program that trained leaders, and I just love learning about policy implementation, which I study from those who implement it. It's a really generative process, and I'm so grateful that I get to work with the great leaders in this program, such as yourselves. I'll pass it on to Corey.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Corey Stone Johnson. I'm a professor in the Educational Administration program. I've been at the university. This is my 15th year somehow. And over the years, I have worked developing this EdD program and also worked with students who are going through preparation programs and other doctoral programs as well. I'm interested in the relationship between educational change and educational leadership. And so I'm always trying to ask questions about how do leaders navigate the various challenges that are placed in front of them, both from a district or state perspective, or also from the communities in which they work. I'm right now doing some research on parent involvement, negative parent involvement, in terms of thinking about that's not true. Parent pushback in terms of policy and practices that are in place, and the changing role of school boards within within the context of educational change. What I love most about working with the EdD program is helping students develop what we call their problems of practice. Dr. Meadow will be telling you a little bit about that more in a bit. But I primarily work with students as you go from learning your methodologies and some of the theory to thinking about, okay, now what am I going to do in my context and what conditions need to be changed in order for me to be the best leader I can be. So I'm excited to see you.
All right, Dr. Stone Johnson, Dr. Freed, Dr. Baxley, thank you for introducing yourself. So my name is Dr. Ian Mehta. I've sort of been all over the country the last 10 years, spent 8 years at the University of Maine, spent a year at the University of Arkansas, and before that, a year at the University of Wyoming. Some of the things I look at, I look at the development of a culturally responsive instructional supervision framework. So how do we sort of bridge the gap between culturally responsive teaching and culturally responsive school leadership? I also look at issues in and around rural education, and particularly what it would take to continue to improve outcomes for all students in those settings, predominantly in rural white settings. And I love looking at the tension between theory and practice. There's nothing so useful as a good theory, but we have to figure out ways to operationalize those theories. And so that's a big part of what I look at in my work as well. So, we've got to share a little bit about ourselves, and we would love to hear a little bit about who you are and potentially why you're interested in the program. So maybe, Christy, if you're comfortable, would you be willing to just introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Christy Ferry. I'm the Director of Grants Development at Schenectady City School District, not far from Albany. And currently I'm actually attending classes at SUNY Albany, and I'm in their school district business leadership program. But while I'm at it, I really am classes away from really getting that doctorate. So I'm really interested in, because I have obviously my master's, I had my admin, I have my SBL, my SDL, I'm going for my SDBL. So I'm really, just thinking of, what's holding me back from pursuing that doctorate level degree. And I'm really at the point where I'm ready to commit. And that's why I'm here to learn more about it. Because like I said, I have started taking classes, but I think they're very similar in the doctorate program in terms of those advanced, like I'm in advanced human resources and policy right now class, but I think it's similar to some of the programming here at U Buffalo. So just interested in learning more about it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And Michael, what about you?
Sure. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for taking time to speak with us. I'm a coordinator of middle school special education down on Long Island in the Half Hollow Hills School District. I've been in administration for 5 years now, and I'm just considering the next step. Similar to Christy, I have my SBL and SDL advanced degrees through Stony Brook University, and I'm just interested in a doctoral program at this point. So hearing about it, and I think as well there's some online components to your program, and I think that might meet my needs in terms of moving forward and working with the family and just having the time really to complete it. So I appreciate the time that you guys are giving to speak about the program.
Absolutely. So thank you, Michael. Thank you both for being here and giving us a little bit of your time, and we'll try to go through this quickly but efficiently, and in a way that gives you a little more information about who we are. So in our EdD, we ask you to focus on a problem of practice. We think that given your expertise and your background and your experience, you come with a wide variety of knowledge, and we want to help you address and unpack a problem of practice that looks at an inequity that's in your school or school district. So it's something that's easily seen, it's observable, it's something that you can take action to address, and it sort of connects to this larger strategy of school improvement. And typically, when we think about addressing a problem of practice and completing what's called a DIP or a dissertation in practice, we typically do that in three possible different ways. There's this idea of an exploration study to better understand some of the factors that contribute to a problem of practice. There's an innovation study, which is something that could be an improvement initiative that you'd want to look at, or something like an outcome study that would allow you to analyze and interpret what's already occurring in an existing program and then possibly think about ways to continue to help address your problem of practice. As it is currently, our EdD is a 72 credit hour program, but almost everybody is able to transfer up to 30 credits into our program. So that comes from what you were all saying, SBL, SDL, SBDL programs. A lot of people come in and transfer in upwards of 30 credits. So it really ends up being about a 42 credit hour program. In the first year, and we'll go into some more detail here in a minute, you do some introductory courses that allow you to explore your problem of practice a little bit more. In the second year, you really sort of land on and finalize your problem of practice and the methods that you might want to take to collect data. And in that third year, we help give you support to go through the proposal defense, to collect and analyze data, and then to complete the written portion of your dissertation. So this is what year one currently looks like. It is not that you would go through something exactly like this. We're always tinkering and trying to make sure that the program becomes better, but this is something that you could expect if you were to come into UB's EdD program. So again, you're really going through in that first year, at the end of that first summer, you're able to identify your problem of practice. And by spring, you have a good background and understanding of different methodological approaches that you might think about taking in your study. In year two, we really try to help you by the end of fall have a framework to address inequities in your program of practice. And by spring, end of spring, you really should have a good foundation for the lit review, the research questions that you want to ask. And again, you should be able to solidify that method or methodology that you want to use. And then finally, in year three, you have support in the summer to really work on the dissertation proposals. We really try to give you support during that time so that by early fall, you're able to defend the dissertation proposal. It ends up being the foundation for chapters 1, 2, and 3 in your dissertation. We then give you hands-on support where we help you with data collection and transition into data analysis. We know that oftentimes folks that go into an EdD program do really well at completing the coursework, but if they're sort of left to their own devices, they don't always have time or support to finish that. We try to address that by giving you classes that break those sort of down into smaller assignments so that you can really make sure that you complete your dissertation on time. And by early spring, you move from data analysis into finishing up with your writing, and then you defend by late spring, so usually by April or May. Some of our current structures that we use, classes are 15 weeks long in the fall and spring, and 9 weeks in the first half of the summer. So you can expect to be engaged May through July, but you still have at least a month off of time that you don't need to be in class or doing any work. Gives you a good portion of your summer to do whatever it is that you want to do and to frankly take the break that you have earned being an educator. We do have Zoom-based classes that meet on alternate weeks. So that means that you would need to block off one day each week to attend classes, and they run on Zoom from about 5 to at latest 8. Usually they end earlier than that. It's usually like 5 to 7, somewhere in that time range. We use Brightspace as our learning management system. So it'll be your one-stop shop for all your learning throughout your EdD program. And the classes, we do try to design them so that they build off one of another. So it should help you further explore your problem of practice. It really should help you build your dissertation piece by piece so that by the time you get to that proposal defense, it's not everything is sort of due at once. It's sort of building along the way as we go. And so just wanted to give some testimonials from recent EdD grads, and then we'll let you ask any questions that you have. So you can see one of our recent graduates, Fanoon Shaibi. She talks about that she became interested in addressing her problem of practice through observed disproportionate outcomes from students with diverse backgrounds in areas of suspension, graduation, and chronic absenteeism, and realized that there was that there's potential for improvement and impact through hiring practices. So in the EdD program, she talked about the ability to hone her critical thinking and problem-solving skills that then directly influenced her leadership. And in the cohort model, and by interacting with faculty and peers, she talks about enriching her perspectives and understanding of leadership, allowing her to grow professionally and personally. And then another recent grad that we had, Laura Samolsky-Peters, has a role as a superintendent of accountability and is tasked with monitoring, collecting data. And she immediately began to use what she learned to calculate disproportionate outcomes in her district. And she wanted to learn more about what others were doing data-wise to make sure that all students had equitable outcomes. And that through the EdD program, she was able to develop a better understanding at developing projects through a bigger picture lens, which then allowed her to understand how to manage staff and produce pieces that make everyone able to come together. So that's just sort of like an overview of who we are and maybe our approach to helping you learn and work towards your doc degree. So what questions do you have for us, or what are some things that you would like to ask us that we can engage in with you for a little bit?